Hello, everyone. You're listening to the Socially Desi Show, the podcast that motivates you to live, create, and inspire. If this is your first time here, welcome. On our show, we discuss tips and strategies with our guest speakers on how to tackle problems related to personal growth, mental health, relationships, business and entrepreneurship, and health and fitness. So hit that subscribe button and go check out our website at sociallydesi.com for more of such content. Today, I'm joined by Sakshi Ved. She is the founder of Miles, India's leading car subscription and rental company. Her mission is to bring about a new way of vehicle ownership via Miles subscription and sharing solutions that are affordable, flexible, and convenient at the same time. Wonderful mission, Sakshi. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Anurag. Happy to be here.
Pleasure is all mine, Sakshi. Thank you so much for doing this with the Socially Desi show. And before we begin the episode, we would love to know about your professional journey so far and your inspiration behind Miles.
Oh wow, that's it's an interesting journey actually for me.
Mm-hmm.
I was in Singapore, Dubai, studying my master's in management. I came back to India and I was offered an opportunity with a car rental company called Cars on Rent. Which led me, which was kind of out of the blue at that point in time. Nobody was talking about mobility. Nobody was really talking about the taxi industry or the mobility industry or any of these things. And that's when I started. We were representing Hertz Rent-A-Car in India. We moved on to build, and during those, I think, 8-10 years there, I moved on to build one of the first radio taxi brands in India called Easy Cabs. We built an operating lease platform under Cars on Rent. We tested self-drive products in that, in that journey. While I was there, we incubated Miles within Cars on Rent. The idea really was I was always somebody who was very unsure about buying a car, in spite of, and it's ironic considering I was in the business of making people use cars, and I was working with so many car manufacturers to really get them to sell cars to us. But I was very uncomfortable buying cars because I always thought it was really difficult. There was just so many things that one has to manage, right from the one most important thing was to find out what's the best car to buy at the right budget, then the commitment that comes with it, and then really being able to understand what's how to handle the entire purchase process. So that was really all of those thoughts really brought about this idea as to how can we make car ownership easier, and that was the birth of Miles. So we started there. About 2019 is when we are now an independent entity as Miles Automotive Technologies. The company today is really building on that promise as to how to make car ownership easy. And so that's really been my journey, about 14-15 years of being first an entrepreneur and then an entrepreneur as the founder of Miles.
No, I love the transition, from an entrepreneur to an entrepreneur. I think that transition really gives you a lot of experience and a point of view which has its own flavors and its own, ups and downs. And these 14, 15 years into the automotive landscape, I'm sure you must have seen both the sides of the story, right? New car buyers versus, the second-hand car buyers. And now with Miles, you have the rental car subscribers, right? So I want to ask you this question. So in this pie, right, in the automotive landscape pie, where does the whole rental car business stack up? And what have you seen in your experience with new car buyers vis-a-vis second-hand car buyers?
So, here's what I see. Here's what I really look at it as. The entire vehicle ownership idea was born out of a need to have, a vehicle to yourself, because everyone had a certain kind of need for a vehicle.
Right.
When if you think about it, one of the earliest possessions of vehicles were actually always rentals. The origin of the global leader in car rentals at one point of time, which is Hertz. They had actually brought these almost carriages of Ford vehicle, because those were the vehicles that were really rented out, and that was the only way people used to have cars, because nobody could afford the vehicle itself. So actually, rentals came far before the ownership market really
Hmm.
grew
Hmm.
up. If you really think about it now, I think car ownership depends on the use case.
Right.
In the Indian market scenario, the buying of a car is like it was, at least used to be, a milestone in every family. I know a lot of my friends. I'm sure you have a lot of friends who've decided on the first car that they wanted to buy, and it was like a huge
Yep.
decision. There
Yeah.
have been families, and I have elders in my family who still kept their first car with them. It's just lying there. Nobody uses it, but it's still lying there, because
Hmm.
that's the emotion attached to car ownership.
Yeah.
Um, Gradually, as the use cases grew up, because apart from it being a milestone in a life, the use cases of car ownership are very different. Some people need it for business, some people need it because they're avid travelers, some people need cars only for shorter periods of time, some people need it for the ease of running multiple errands, some people like chauffeur drive cars. Sometimes you're hugely mobile, so you need a car only for a shorter period of time. As these use cases have grown up, customers' needs have grown up. And that has led for a lot of people to say, I need a car for this purpose, instead of saying, I think I'm ready to buy a car and I can make the investment.
True. True.
Which has led to, one, of course, the new car market is growing, and which is why you see a lot of the compact SUVs, the entry
Hmm.
level
Yeah.
vehicles doing really well in the market. But in addition to that, the used car market is growing, because a lot of people are saying that I don't want to invest, very heavily on the car that I need. So I may need a Mercedes, but I don't have the ability to buy a new Mercedes, like a
True.
C class right now. Um, Further ahead, there are now people who are moving in various directions as far as their careers are concerned, as far as their lives are concerned. The next generation of car buyers is very different. This is a
Hmm.
generation, as professionals, one, they change cities very often. Sometimes, I mean, they not just cities, they change geographies very often. So they're moving between countries. The disposable incomes are going up far faster. People are more likely to be exposed to different models of vehicles. So this whole need that the generation before us had, which was that once I bought a car, I'm stuck with it for the next 5-10 years. That's no longer there. People want to change.
Right.
People want to have a car for uh, whatever period of time that it meets their need, and then change. That's really where subscription comes in. That's really where
Hmm.
sharing
Hmm.
comes in. That need to be able to have a more flexible access to a vehicle, and be able to have that access in a more affordable manner. That's what brings about subscription, and that's really the change that's happening in the market today.
Right, right. Interesting. And I want to touch base on the emotional aspect here a bit. You said that for a lot of Indians, and it's true till date, I think, for a lot of people, it's a big milestone in their life that they want to own, they want to buy a new car, and they save up their money, they save up their life savings for that. And when that decision comes in, there are a lot of emotions that come into play, and they go and buy a new car. Now, you also spoke about the change in the mindset of millennials and how they are preferring to have, not being stuck to a single car for so many years, and they want that flexibility to have, whatever car they want in their life. It can be a Mercedes, like you said, or it can be like a mini SUV, or anything that they prefer, and can change them like clothes. Now, my question to you here is, when you see these decisions being made when it comes to buying a new car or going for a rented car, what sort of myths have you really seen? Like, there are a lot of myths that really go around when it comes to renting a car, and I'm sure a lot of people speak about this on different forums. What sort of myths have you really seen over the internet being spoken around renting a car, and would you like to burst few of these?
Very interesting question, and it's my it's one of those really interesting topics that we discuss even at in office a lot, as
Hmm.
we take feedback from customers, and prospective subscribers from us. What we've seen is that till date, while a lot of customers are getting used to the idea of having an all-inclusive model of ownership, which is
Hmm.
subscription, which means that you really don't have to worry about anything. So if you've decided on your subscription rental, then your EMIs, insurance, maintenance, any kind of roadside assistance, tire, battery change, if everything's taken care of. But a lot of people will still compare that rental to, oh, but the EMI is available at this price, which is only
Hmm.
the
Yeah.
price of the car. There are, the rest of the car, the rest of the costs you're not even including at this point in time. So that's something that we try and change. And I think the generation, that's the education that we really take up. I think the other piece is a lot of people are still opening up to the idea of what does a rental agreement really mean. Uh,
Hmm.
Thankfully for us, the financial institutions have done us a huge favor, because even when people were going to take loans on cars, even in those scenarios, the biggest hurdle really was that you don't own the car till the time you've paid up all the
Yeah.
loan.
True.
So that's sort of changing for us, and now you don't need to own the car, and you can just with subscription you can just keep the car for whatever period you want to. So that's sort of changing for us. We are also interestingly seeing people becoming a lot more inquisitive about how the maintenance will happen, what kind of
Right.
what's the sort of insurance are you taking, etc., but
True.
when
True.
they actually start doing calculations, because we're a great bunch of people in India. We love to do calculations, right?
Yeah.
And we love to have the maths right for us, and which
Hmm.
we
Hmm.
appreciate, because I think in subscription there is just it just makes so much sense when you start doing the calculation. So that's something that we are trying to change, just by virtue of the fact that a customer has so many options on a subscription platform like ours. There is this whole advantage that people are now getting, because earlier it used to be like a family event, that today we will go to the neighborhood dealership and we'll see which cars they have, and then we'll go to another dealership and then we'll find out. Now Miles will really allow you to get the car to your house for a test drive,
Hmm.
and
Okay.
just decide whatever you want to do, sitting in the comfort of your home. So those things are sort of making a difference. We're interestingly seeing another phenomena, which I find really encouraging. A lot of the younger generations today are really coming back and pushing for subscription in their families. And this is because, one, I think we as a generation are hugely interested in getting other people to do our jobs. So they don't want to handle, the
Yeah.
maintenance of insurance and all of that. So when it comes to them buying a car for the family, they're really going ahead and saying that, listen, let's just subscribe because it's just so much easier. And
True,
then
true.
they're convincing, so they're doing our job, so they're actually going and convincing the dads and the moms and
Hmm,
everyone in the house and saying this is better, and so yeah,
true.
interesting facts that are happening here.
No, absolutely. And one of the good points that you touched based on is the after sales service and the whole experience, right? After owning a car. And a lot of times, until your car is under warranty, you don't feel being looted, right? You are okay with whatever plans have been given by the OEMs at the time of buying the car. So you get your 2 years, 3 years of warranty. But what happens after the 3 years of warranty is what something a lot of people are facing challenges with. And I've spoken to a lot of my friends and family members who feel like they've always been cheated by uh, you know uh, garages while they took their car for service. And I think that another that points out to another advantage of having a rented car, a subscribed car, because you don't have to worry about the whole procedure of getting your car serviced and maintained on a regular basis. And that's what a lot of people don't even do in India. You know, when it's always advised to do at least a service for at least twice in a year, they won't do that as well. So a good point there, Sakshi. And before we started this episode, I actually went to our subscribers on the Socially Desi show and we asked them a couple of questions. So we thought that we'll bring in these questions to you. And so one of the common questions that really came about from our subscribers was what does it really make sense for somebody to go for a subscribed car or use Ola and Uber? So that is one crossroads they are at. If they are just moving around the city, how do they really understand if it is better for them to get a rented car or just use Ola and Uber? So would you like to comment on that?
Absolutely. I think that's a great question, and that's a question that a lot of people may be asking now that the pandemic is also over.
Hmm.
A lot of usage of shared vehicles is going up. What I see subscription to be is a means to an end. Ola, what any of the cab aggregators or taxi platforms are providing, they are providing a vehicle on rental for a certain period of time. They meet certain needs for the customer. So you can go from point A to point B, and you can decide on how much you want to spend on a monthly basis or on a daily basis on these platforms. The way I see subscription, one, it is a dedicated vehicle. It is a vehicle that then can be used by anybody and everybody in the family. It is also something, this is also a privately registered vehicle that you can take. You can have access to different kinds of vehicles at different points of time. Uh, and really do the outstation trips, drive yourself, have the privacy of your own vehicle, all of those things. In keeping with all of this, I would say that the need for just using taxis, cab aggregators versus using a car for yourself are complementary needs. They are not
Hmm.
they don't I mean, it cannot be interchanged. Primarily because if you just have a need of a car, a chauffeur-driven car taking you to the airport a couple of times a month, then by all means, I don't think you'd have the need for a car dedicated to yourself. But
True.
if your need is that you use a car every day, you need to go to the office, you have a few rounds that you need to make in the city, or you need to go outstation. So then the economics works really well. And secondly, if you're subscribing to the vehicle, then the hassles of ownership come down significantly. So the
Yeah,
budget that you'll be spending on the car will be far lesser than what you end up spending if you were just using cabs. So that's
absolutely.
that's really the difference.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think you touched base on the right points here that if you are using or you need a car for just a couple of times in a month, or maybe just once a week, then it doesn't really make sense for you to subscribe. And like you said, these are complementary services. I mean, you cannot really have just one of them. So I mean, even if, like, a lot of people, and I spoke to my friends regarding this as well before the episode, I said you can't really choose one, because even though you own a car, at some point in time you will go and get a Ola or a Uber to go somewhere. So it's not like that, I have a car, so I will never use a taxi or a cab aggregator. So I think it depends on your usage, it depends on your needs, and these needs may change over the years. And that is where even I feel that subscription comes into a good play here, because once your needs start to change over the years, you are not stuck with just one car, right? So you can always change your subscription, end your subscription, upgrade your subscription, go to a different. So there are so many things that you can do, and I think that is where the whole beauty of rental car business comes into place. I really like that. Thank you so much, Sakshi, with all for all these good nuggets and strategies that you have shared with our audience. Any trends that you are seeing now, since we just spoke about the pandemic getting over, thankfully? What sort of trends do you see now coming in for the car rental space?
So, first of all, we're very glad that we're actually opening up. I think it's
Yeah,
the one thing that's happening is that people are moving out with a vengeance. I hope they're all staying careful though and staying safe. But yes,
yeah,
people are ready to travel, ready to move out with an absolute vengeance. Now saying that now I'm only going to be out of the house, considering we've spent the last 2 years just staying inside the house. But
yeah,
I think one of the trends that's happening is in the travel, in the car sharing side of it, or where we provide self drive, we're seeing domestic travel take off in a really big way. I'm seeing people traveling all over the country, taking cars for shorter durations from us, discovering destinations, discovering small homestays, and really blocking themselves up there for a while. So which is interesting. I see that as something where I think a lot of Indian destinations that were very untouched will actually get discovered a lot more now.
hmm,
I think the second thing that's happening is people are looking at now having a car to themselves a lot more than they used to, because a car travel is still, and we're still not done with the pandemic.
yeah,
There is still vaccination yet to be done, and therefore people are now also taking a decision that there should be a car that they have for themselves, because car travel is still the safest. Because whether it's a flight or a train or anything else, you will still be sharing space with other people. So that's
yep,
so road travel is something that's picking up, and therefore more and more people want to have access to a vehicle. The third thing, which I think is one of my favorite things that's happening right now, is we are seeing a lot of demand for electric vehicle subscription,
right.
and
Hmm.
that is because of two reasons. One, the number of electric vehicles that are being launched in the country today are growing. However, the initial cost of ownership of these vehicles is quite high. Um, when you look at subscribing to these vehicles, because you will only be paying for a monthly fixed fee of these vehicles instead of the entire cost of ownership of these vehicles, subscription becomes a lot more lucrative for customers. And
True.
so that's something that we've seen becoming quite huge. Today, about 40% of our total subscribed vehicles are actually EVs. We
Wow.
have seen
Nice.
over a 30% increase in the number of applications that we are receiving on a month-on-month basis for EVs itself. So that has become a really interesting trend. I also believe that this is a far more conscious call that people are taking. because electric vehicles at the end of the day will have far-reaching impact on the on the way we are consuming fuel, our own carbon footprint that we are developing. And in addition to that, electric vehicles are just smarter vehicles. There's just so much more technology, and there's just so much more um, you know they're just silent vehicles. There's better technology. They're better tracked. They're far more automated. So they're just smarter vehicles, and that's a trend that I'm excited about, and I'd like to see a lot more of that coming in.
Wonderful. Yeah. I mean, I think these are really good numbers that you spoke about. Having more and more subscribers wanting an electric vehicle is actually good for the for the earth as well. And I'm glad to see that a lot of people are taking that conscious decision of going for an EV, even though we have a lot less models for EVs. But it's great that manufacturers are actually bringing on new models every year, and we hope to see this growth happening year on year. And any new plans that Miles has in the upcoming months that you would like to share with the audience?
So we're doing quite a few things. We for starters, we are now expanding. We have been we're currently in 10 cities in the country. We in the next 12 months, our focus is to add at least another 10 cities. We also want to make sure that we are able to provide a much better experience of for EV customers. Therefore, we're partnering with charging infrastructure companies. We're partnering with battery manufacturers. We're getting more and more vehicles on our platform. So that expansion would happen for sure. We already have partnerships with the likes of Maruti Suzuki, Toyota, and MG, where we provide subscription services to all the customers that come to Maruti, Toyota, and MG dealerships.
Okay.
And we would like to, and we are, currently working with other manufacturers to launch those programs as well. So that's an interesting piece that will happen. And interestingly, we're also working with some EV manufacturers who want to only bring in cars with subscription instead of the regular ownership models. So that should be exciting. And so we're keeping ourselves busy, as they say.
No, wonderful. I think it's really exciting to hear that there are manufacturers who plan to bring in vehicles only for subscription. That'll be interesting, and that will at least open up the EV market, and we'll see more models, different kind of options that people can opt for. So that's really interesting. I'm definitely looking out for that thing to happen with Miles. So with that, Sakshi, thank you so much for being on the Socially Desi show. I'm sure the audience would have gained a lot many good insights from the episode. And guys, we'll put Miles' website links in the show notes below. So if you have any requirements, if you want to get in touch with Sakshi or the team to understand more about how Miles work and how the whole subscription works, definitely go get in touch with them, and I'm sure her team will help you get the right option for you. So with that, thank you so much, Sakshi.
Thank you, Anurag. Wonderful being here. And yes, please get in touch with us. Happy to help.
So that wraps it up for today, folks. If you liked the episode, give it a big thumbs up, share it with your friends, and let's go viral. Remember, our weekly podcast features episodes on personal growth, mental health, relationships, business and entrepreneurship, and health and fitness. We would love to have Sakshi on the show again in the future to discuss more about the wonderful world of cars and rentals. So, if you haven't yet done so, hit that subscribe button and go check out our website at sociallydesi.com. And as always, before I sign off, remember, life is black and white and everything in between.